Welcome to my dungeon. My name is C.J. Cassidy, and I will be reading excerpts from my first novel. But enough about me. This is about Catherine, Jennifer, and Lady Legtex. So, turn the lights down low, light a scented candle, and let Daddy tell you a story. We stepped inside and Catherine spent the rest of the day trying to sell me the new marketing protocols. I wasn't buying. I've been here too long to go along with any of the new protocols and the new computer programming required to implement those protocols. I was getting a little tired of explaining myself to Catherine, and she became frustrated that I wouldn't just go along with the program. We were at an impasse. She had a job to do, and I knew you couldn't get there from here. I like Catherine. She has a youthful exuberance that I haven't seen around here in a long while. She was ready to conquer the world, and it didn't hurt that she was really easy on the eyes. Catherine wasn't the only woman working for Faber Data Corporation, but at 25, she was the youngest female executive the company ever had. At 26, she was still the youngest executive. By the time she was 28, she was just another employee. There was no longer anything particularly special about her. It wasn't until the time she reached 30 and had 5 years with the company that I took notice of her. In my opinion, she was no longer a child star. She was a young adult, and I could comfortably think of her as a desirable young woman and not just a young girl. Although she wasn't the only woman her age working here, she wasn't very popular with the other girls. She tried to be friendly and outgoing with them, but they more tolerated her than liked her. Sure, they would have lunch with her or have a girls' night out on occasion, but actually, deep down, they despised her. I noticed that women tend to hate the head bitch in charge. It wasn't any fault of Catherine's. It's just the way some women are. My office was no exception. Even the women who didn't work with her directly had a problem with her. They were nice to her to her face, but only because she was a boss. But when her back was turned, that's when the claws came out. Catherine wasn't stupid. She knew the deal, but opted to keep the peace rather than call anyone out unless it was absolutely necessary. Catherine was fair, but you did not want to get on her bad side. Catherine did exactly what I expected she was going to do. She was a bull in a china shop, full of vim and vigor, piss and vinegar. She thought that she could single-handedly save the company. And why shouldn't she? After all, she was the golden child hired to do just that. Don't get me wrong, she wasn't unorganized or headstrong or pushy. She had just what the company needed, a fresh outlook. It was my opinion that she was just pointed in the wrong direction. It wasn't my job to pull her reins. That's way too much work. I would just let her do whatever she wanted to do, and eventually she would just burn herself out. Sooner or later, she would settle down and resign herself to a life of drudgery and apathy, just like the rest of us. That didn't work out at all. Every time we thought she was about to run out of steam, go with the program, corporate or marketing would light a new fire under her ass, and she was off to the races again. It would be later that I would realize that her need to please others would come back to bite her on the ass. Working for and with Catherine was a cross between a roller coaster and a bucking bronco. You would line up for hours to get on, but then you would get thrown off about 7 seconds. I tried hard not to imagine what she would be like in bed. That failed miserably also. This kid was at least 20 years my junior. I had a daughter her age, for crying out loud. It wasn't easy not to think of her in that way. She was 25 when she started here. I was 44. An intimate relationship would have to be just a fantasy only. There is a line that I just don't cross. But then one day, something happened. Something I hadn't counted on. When Catherine turned 30, it was as if someone turned on a light. I no longer saw her as a child. She became a young, vivacious woman. She had become desirable to me. Oh, I've had sex with other women before and since she's arrived, but for some reason, Catherine affected me differently. I wanted her more than any other woman I knew or had known. At first, I thought I was going through male menopause, my midlife crisis, but then I decided, what the hell, if she gave me a shot, I was going to take it.